So originally I had a video planned for this week where I talk about what happened at last week's Pokemon Business Conference, which would be followed by my predictions for Wednesday's pre-E3 2019 Sword and Shield Direct. Though I'd sort of come to realize that that idea felt really half-baked when it came to summarizing things that I want to talk at length about, so I'll reserve my opinions on things like Pokemon Home and Pokemon Masters for a later date. That being said, Pokemon Sleep is probably the most interesting, confusing, and outright most bizarre thing I've ever seen the Pokemon Company set out to do. But after spending the remainder of this week thinking about it at length, I've come to realize that Pokemon Sleep has the potential to just be a colossal disaster that nobody's gonna care about. Though I'm of the stance that the idea behind Pokemon Sleep is absolutely genius, and based off of their past experience with the series, I want to dive into how Pokemon Sleep is gonna rule our lives. Okay, that has to be the most bizarre thing I've ever put as a video title in years, and I have no doubt it's going to take a lot to topple that one. But to elaborate further, Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are already some of the kings of making sleep and downtime satisfying in their games, and this video aims to explain why I think past experience is really going to help create something great in terms of creating passive gameplay that we're all going to get something out of. It's practically just a regular sleep monitor that, through the use of a phone or Nintendo's new Pokemon Go++, will provide some sort of entertainment for Pokemon trainers around the world. Again, the concept of turning sleeping into entertainment is so bizarre, but it's important to look at Pokemon's priorities when it comes to what Pokemon Sleep aims to do, which can be boiled down to one very simple word. That word being satisfaction. It appears that priorities lie in a very defined middle ground of trying to bring entertainment to a daily activity that is now, I suppose, made very fun. But it also tries to promote healthy living, though unlike Pokemon Go, this is during your rest time. If you've ever had a sleep monitor to help track your sleep and habits and automatically determine things such as when you should wake up as well as your general movements, then the way Pokemon Sleep will likely work isn't any surprise to you. The base concept in that regard covers the idea that they can help better your quality of life because, well, sleep monitoring software tends to do that, but the elephant in the room is very much about how they can turn that into some sort of entertainment. From what I understand, Pokemon Sleep is going to help you accumulate some kind of in-game stuff depending on how exactly you sleep, which will help you drive towards sleeping healthier to better the content you get out of the game. With Pokemon Home being announced and Pokemon Sleep having some compatibility with Pokemon Go, this combination of Pokemon Go Home and Sleep makes a convincing argument to use it because I could eventually transfer stuff to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Therein lies that single word of satisfaction being the key point for me. You mean to tell me that through sleeping, I can get new stuff which I can eventually transfer to a main series Pokemon game? Granted, there's a lot of steps to get there, but I'm already seeing some incentive to use this from a gameplay perspective outside of it being just a simple sleep monitor. This satisfaction, which was explicitly highlighted during the business conference, is one that will come when you wake up and start your day off by checking the app and likely seeing what you've accumulated. Starting a day off right is personally really important for me, and I think Pokemon Sleep will make a small difference in effectively monopolizing this niche market as they did with Pokemon Go, simply because it makes a mundane task pretty fun. Now, this video was somewhat focusing on that aspect of Pokemon Sleep, but what I really wanted to outline with this was how Game Freak and the Pokemon Company have been the kings at this type of passive gameplay for quite a while now. For a more recent example, even outside of Game Freak, we can look at Pokemon Go. I doubt that I'm the only one that does this, but the daily events in that game, like reviving your Pokemon that have likely fainted overnight in gyms, daily research tasks building up to a weekly legendary Pokemon encounter amongst some other stuff, and sending/receiving gifts, are some of the things I do when I first wake up on a morning. For a game that promotes getting out and walking, it also has small things to do like this when you wake up and are just completely stationary, which stands to reason that Niantic's work on Pokemon Sleep might pay off for us. Since there's a little bit of that design in Pokemon Go, a game that really isn't based around your daily sleep or rest all that much. That, however, is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Pokemon's existing experience with satisfying passive gameplay. It all began with the release of Pokemon Gold and Silver in 1999. It was the first in the series to have time-based events through an in-game clock, and to me it's partly the reason why I think it's one of the best sequel games ever made. Red and Blue are perfectly fine, but they lacked a reasonable amount of post-game content to keep players coming back. Gold, Silver, and by extension Pokemon Crystal innovated in allowing the player to have daily and even weekly events to look forward to. Prominent ones being the bug catching contests on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, or on Fridays when the Lapras in Union Cave appears for you to battle and catch. The radio tower in Goldenrod City plays a lottery where you have a chance to win coveted items such as even Master Balls every day, and it was the first games in the series to introduce staples of modern Pokemon games such as rare Pokemon swarms and even rivalry matches which were possible on different days. The day-night cycle is by far one of Johto's greatest additions in the series and is probably the biggest reason as to why Gold and Silver felt like part of such a living, breathing world. Game Freak presented the player with new things to look forward to almost every single day, and this continued further with future mainline Pokemon entries. While Generation 3 had no day or night cycle like Generation 2, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald expanded on berries that were introduced in those earlier games. Now, players had something to look forward to with some fantastic passive gameplay that had some amazing use in and out of battle. With the return of the day and night cycle in Generation 4, Diamond and Pearl brought with it some other great passive gameplay such as encountering the Drifloon at the Valley Windworks on Fridays, as well as gorgeous renditions of music which changed depending on the time of day. This honestly kind of incentivized players, myself included, to play at certain times to get the most out of Sinnoh, which honestly peaked in the honey-coated trees which were dotted around the region. I can't exactly forgive the odds that they have when it comes to the Pokemon that they produce, but I will never forget the time I slathered honey on one of those trees as a kid to wake up super early to find a completely new Pokemon I hadn't even seen before at like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was just really cool. I don't feel that I need to elaborate further, but other examples of Game Freak's excellent passive gameplay were things like the monthly seasonal changes in Pokemon Black and White. Now I get that none of this is special to you if you've ever played a game like Animal Crossing. My hours spent on City Folk when I was younger are just as fun as that experience that I mentioned earlier, but I think that with all of this passive gameplay which still crops up and gets redefined in newer entries, it's astounding to me that all of it is layered on top of an existing JRPG with a million other mechanics that work in tandem with each other. Even with the various islands on Pokepelago in Alola, I still find my almost 20-year-old self checking up on my 3DS daily to hatch eggs or level up my Pokemon in the background. This isn't even mentioning the further introductions to time-based passive gameplay Game Freak have added to existing games, such as the very specific time-based gym leader rematches in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which greatly expands their characters through phone calls that weren't present in the original, letting us get a look at their lives outside of being trainers that kinda just stand idly in buildings you visit only once on a playthrough. Or how about Soaring in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which not only combines an entirely new game mechanic with this passive daily gameplay, but allows you to get legendary Pokemon and those not native to Hoenn similar to Swarms, which were already a thing in regions such as Johto and later Sinnoh. God, I really wanted to do a little video on Pokemon's amazing daily events, but I never had that window of opportunity to talk about Game Freak being the kings of downtime until now. Pokemon Sleep is something that I believe will be a massive success. It's being made by Select Button after all, who created a very cute and very basic game in Magikarp Jump. But with the franchise's expertise in passive gameplay that helps the player feel satisfied, I'm confident that the bizarre Pokemon Sleep will deliver on every level. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to talk about it with me over Twitter or in the comments or even in my Discord server. If you want to support me and get some additional perks through Patreon, I would massively appreciate it. Like, if I can get this passionate talking about doing literally nothing in video games, then I feel that should be a testament to how much I just love this little series and would want nothing more than to continue making them with a little bit of support backing me up. On Wednesday is the Pokemon Direct before E3, so expect a reaction livestream and a video talking about it to come. And I'll see you guys then. Let's hope Sword and Shield doesn't turn out to be a disappointment. It probably won't. I know I'm going to be ridiculously excited before and after either way.